7 hours after midnight, my world nearly jumped off its hinges. I jolted awake to a pounding, relentless, angry rattling my old cabin walls like the place owed someone money. No gentle knock, just fists, hard and insistent, promising nothing good. I stumbled for the door pulse, still slow from sleep. And suddenly I was staring at three strangers on my porch, clipboard camera, stern faces, all business. No one bothered with pleasantries. The first man, apparently an HOA inspector, barked out a number. "You owe $4,800 in unpaid dues, and you're illegally occupying HOA property." It was so absurd my brain stuttered. This cabin, paid for, inherited from my grandfather far outside their cookie-cutter HOA streets, was suddenly at the center of a showdown I hadn't signed up for. The inspector's camera flashed in my face. "You will comply or we file an immediate lien." That was his greeting. That, and the cold certainty that someone was dead, set on running my life. I slammed the door. Hands shaking, chest tight, I tried to slow my thoughts. How could an HOA come after someone who wasn't even part of their community? Out here, most mornings start slow sun, climbing over the lake, solar panels, humming, coffee brewing with water from the system my grandfather built with his own hands. This life was supposed to be simple, off-grid, peaceful. The cabin was more than shelter. It was the last living memory of the man who'd taught me to fix a roof, clean a filter, respect the land. Each corner held a story. I'd come here to escape the endless noise, the deadlines, the feeling that the world never let you breathe. Out here, finally, peace felt possible. At least it had. Just beyond the tree line, a neighborhood run by an HOA made up its own rules, policed by a president notorious for pushing her authority to the edge. Rumor had it they wanted to expand. Never crossed my mind that expansion would mean me. That day, my home became a battlefield, and I barely had time to process it before hearing the crunch of gravel again, this time sharp, controlled like a judge entering a courtroom. When I opened the door, she was already halfway up the steps, Karen, HOA president, clipboard tucked under her arm, sunglasses on in pre-dawn gloom, radiating the kind of confidence only absolute power brings. "Good," she said, not even looking at me. "You're awake." Before I could reply, she pressed a stack of papers into my hands. "These outline the dues you owe and the violations you've racked up." I let them hang in the air. "I don't owe your HOA a dime," I said. "My cabin isn't in your community." Karen sighed, a long, dramatic exhale, equal parts pity and contempt. "The access road you use," she said, pin-tapping the page, "runs across HOA soil. You benefit from our maintenance, you owe us dues." That road had been here since before her neighborhood was even an idea. My deed went back 30 years before their first meeting. Karen's jaw tightened. She turned to the inspector and snapped her fingers. "More photos. Document everything. Roof, windows, foundation, any unapproved modifications. Unapproved by who I managed." Her smile stayed thin. "By the HOA, of course. Community safety rules apply to anyone who uses our land." She crowded me, taking the air between us. "Boundary lines are fluid," she said, "and the board has the right to redefine them." That was the first honest thing she'd said all morning. This wasn't about safety or dues. It was about control. They wanted my land and I was in the way. Kept my voice steady as the anger burned. "I have the original deed. County approved, certified. You have no jurisdiction." She waved her hand, bored. "Deeds can be updated. Maps can change. This area is growing, and we must manage it responsibly." Whether I liked it or not, in her mind, I was already part of her little fiefdom. The inspector leaned in, snapping photos of my porch, my windows, even inside my cabin when the door drifted open. I blocked his view. "You don't have the right to photograph inside my home." Karen folded her arms. "If you have nothing to hide, you shouldn't worry." That was the moment it all shifted. Cold, calculated. Karen hadn't come looking for compromise. She'd come for my compliance or my land. "If you don't comply," she said, voice sharpening, "we escalate this legally. The lien will move forward. Additional fines issued daily. Fines for what? Non-compliance, trespassing, unauthorized structures, whatever the board deems appropriate. We have flexibility." Flexibility, her word for unchecked power. My pulse thudded in my ears. I'm not paying a thing. I'm not under your HOA. Karen lowered her sunglasses just enough for me to see the cold certainty in her eyes. You'll hear from our attorney. I hope you're ready. Watching her walk away, I knew I was up against more than an overzealous neighbor. This was an orchestrated takeover, and it was about to get ugly. Didn't waste time. Called the county recorder's office. Needed official maps, real proof. The clerk was polite until she looked up my parcel number. Then her tone changed. Sir, there are 2 boundary files for your property. My stomach clenched. What do you mean? The original county map shows your cabin outside the HOA. But 6 months ago, there's an amended filing including your parcel within the HOA boundary. 6 months ago, no notice, no legal process I was part of. Who submitted that, I asked. She hesitated. Lakeshore HOA, signed by the current president, Karen. Of course. My granddad built this cabin with his own hands, staked, the land, registered everything. Suddenly, the county was showing 2 maps, one true, one manipulated. The fear that started in my chest turned to anger. By sundown, it weighed heavy. Couldn't think straight. Every noise outside had me braced for Karen to return, this time with cops or another inspector. Next morning, an orange envelope. Non-compliance notice, daily fines. $150 here, $200 there, threat of property seizure pending board review. It would have been funny if it wasn't so bold. Every day new threats. Every day more paper. The community near my cabin started whispering. He thinks he's above the rules. Karen will shut that down. Each look, each muttered comment chipped away at my confidence. Started documenting everything. Photographed land markers, boundaries, my cabin, old metal stakes hammered in the ground by my grandfather. Kept a notebook, logged every visit, every phone call. If they wanted a paperwork war, they'd get it. But the more I uncovered, the clearer it became this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a well-oiled machine, and I was the target. That hit home one evening watching dusk settle on the lake. They weren't after a few $100. They were after my land. Karen's map wasn't a mistake. The fines, the complaints, they weren't warnings, they were weapons. Once my land was inside their jurisdiction, they could squeeze me until I broke. Karen wasn't mistaken. She was hunting and I was her prize. Turns out the worst was yet to come. 3 days later, a county truck pulled down the path, environmental quality inspection. Anonymous report of sewage leakage, apparently. No sewage system, I explained. Composting only legal and compliant. The inspector took pictures, poked around, found nothing, and finally admitted, no violations here. He handed me the form and left. But before driving off, he said, be careful. There's been a spike in complaints from your HOA lately. Karen's playbook, weaponized paperwork, weaponized the rumor mill. The next day, my access road was blocked by metal posts and a fresh sign, private HOA, access no trespassing. The road my grandfather and I used for years now chained off. The only way out was a muddy trail through the woods, 2 brutal miles after the rain, slippery and rough. No choice. Made my way to town covered in mud, and the clerk at the store gave me a look. HOA says you're refusing compliance. Some folks think you're dumping waste in the water. The lie had legs. You know how rumors work, he said. That day I walked home twice as slow, the weight of everything nearly unbearable. Then came an unexpected twist. A knock on my door as dusk fell. An older man introduced himself. Retired surveyor, lived by the lake for decades. He produced an old map. Your cabin is outside HOA jurisdiction. I surveyed it myself. A woman, former board member, showed up next. Karen tried to expand twice. We said no. Now she's doing it behind closed doors. Then a neighbor, tired but determined, joined in. You're not the first she's targeted. You might be the first to stop her. For the first time, I wasn't alone. The surveyor returned with county maps showing my parcel well outside HOA lines. The former board member brought a flash drive emails outlining Karen's attempts to expand, to shift boundaries, to funnel money to her cousin's company. The neighbor, video camera in hand, had filmed the day Karen blocked the road, ordering her crew to hurry before he sees us. By the end of the week, my table was covered in proof. Official maps, fake maps, photos of survey markers, rejection letters from the county email chains, video evidence, inspection reports. For the first time, the fear faded, replaced by something sharper. I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was preparing to expose her. At the community meeting, the place was packed. Karen crisp suit stacked papers, all performance. Unpaid dues, unregistered structure, environmental hazards. She showed her doctored map. I stepped up folder in hand and laid it all out, county maps. The real survey lines, the fake map with no approval, county's annexation rejection, even the video of her blocking the road. When the former board member spoke up, it was over. We voted no. She did it alone. The crowd erupted. Karen's mask cracked. The fallout was immediate. Residents demanded an investigation. The board caved. At the county hearing, Karen arrived with her attorney, but the evidence spoke for itself. The judge sided with me. Official county boundaries, original deed, surveyor testimony, the video, the financial records Karen funneled for her own benefit. All fines dropped, road ordered, unblocked. Karen suspended and under investigation for fraud. Walking out into the sun that day felt different. For once, justice, real honest justice, had finally found its way to the lake. The board was replaced. Neighbors who once glared at me came by with apologies, shovels, bread, even handwritten notes. You didn't just fight for yourself, you fought for all of us. The new board sent a representative to my porch. We're sorry. We let her go too far. I just nodded, not sure what else to say. The community changed old wounds, healing slow but healing. People waved again. Some stopped by just to say thanks. One woman brought a letter. Thank you for standing up. We trusted the wrong person. You reminded us to pay attention. I kept that letter on my table, a quiet reminder that sometimes the battle isn't just yours. It finally sank in peace. Isn't just the quiet of a morning, the ripple of a lake. Real peace is something earned, something held on to after you've had to defend it. My grandfather once told me, a home isn't just wood and dirt. It's the part of you that refuses to break. Now I know exactly what he meant. The cabin is safe, the land is mine, but more than anything I understand now, until someone tries to take everything from you, you never know how hard you can fight to keep it. Until you stand your ground, you don't realize what home really means. I sat on my porch that evening watching the light settle on the water and realized sometimes the scariest battles show you your strength. Sometimes peace is only possible because you were willing to fight for it. So here's a question. Ever gone up against an HOA nightmare? Ever had someone try to take what was yours just because they thought they could drop your story below? Someone out there needs to hear it. And if these stories matter to you, real fights, real victories, real people stick around. These aren't just stories to pass the time. They remind us what matters most, and sometimes they remind us exactly who we are when everything's on the line.